Hello, how you doing, guys? Hope you're doing well out there. James here. Hope trying to stay warm before the Arctic air kick in. Anyway, I wanted to show you this video, and I'm gonna title this. I don't know why some people can't go to another country and show proper respect for people. Let's take a look at this guy, Jolly Somali. I got my comments afterwards.
I did not drink it. You. You Chinese. You.
Maximum amount he is facing is 12 years. You know that moment when someone is so sure they're untouchable that they stop pretending to be innocent and start recording everything like it's a daily vlog? Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. This isn't some mystery or unlucky twist of fate. This is what it looks like when confidence turns into arrogance and arrogance turns into evidence. After months of watching this slow-motion meltdown play out in South Korea, it's obvious this was never a misunderstanding or a harmless scare. This was the inevitable crash of someone who confused attention with immunity and clout with protection. He didn't just cross lines, he blew past them, lit them up, and live-streamed the aftermath while laughing like nothing could touch him. And now the same internet that hyped him up is watching him realize, way too late, that privilege has borders, especially when you've been out of the country for over a year. South Korea wasn't treated like a real place with real people and real laws. It was treated like a content playground, not a culture, not a nation. Just a backdrop for clips, harassment, and non-stop, how far can I push this before something happens? Experiments. Well, something finally happened. What makes this whole situation different from most streamer legal drama is how painfully avoidable it was. This wasn't a gray area policy mess or some accidental slip-up. He filmed himself committing crimes, on purpose, on camera, with commentary. He mocked the laws, looked them up, figured out what was illegal, and then did those exact things anyway. Live, face, voice, attitude, all attached. That's not bad judgment, that's professional level self-snitching. Right now, he's facing multiple charges in South Korea with a realistic maximum sentence of up to 12 years. Not internet exaggeration, not Twitter math. 12 real years. That's 12 years in a prison system that doesn't care about your follower count, your passport, or your excuses. And that's just based on the charges currently on the table. 6 of those charges were already pleaded guilty to. Why? Because even his own lawyer couldn't spin obstruction of business, harassment, and public nuisance into some kind of edgy performance art defense. When you repeatedly disrupt businesses, harass civilians, and interfere with public spaces, the law doesn't care if you call it content. But the real danger isn't even those charges. The real problem is the deep fake distribution cases. This is where the delusion really kicks in. He's pleading not guilty on those charges while openly admitting he distributed the material. His entire defense seems to be, I didn't personally make it, like that somehow wipes his hands clean. It doesn't. Not even close. In South Korea, distributing explicit or defamatory content is treated just as seriously as creating it, especially when it's used to harass or humiliate people. Sharing it is enough. Promoting it is enough. Monetizing it is more than enough. There's no loophole here. His legal strategy right now is basically saying, I didn't rob the bank, I just helped move the money. That excuse might get likes online. It does not work in a courtroom. And here's the part that hasn't fully sunk in yet. Even if he appeals any sentence, that appeal happens from inside a Korean jail cell. There is no go home and fight this from America option. No influencer probation, no special treatment, just concrete walls, locked doors, and time that doesn't care how famous you think you are. Let's get one thing straight right away. Some online headlines were screaming numbers like 30 or 40 years, and that's likely not realistic. But even at the low end, Johnny is staring down years of his life disappearing simply because he couldn't stop provoking strangers for clips. And the wildest part? Johnny himself admitted he doesn't think he could survive prison. That wasn't a joke or some edgy bit. That was fear slipping through the crack.
This Johnny Smiley, guess how old he is? You think somebody would be 18 do that, right? 17, 16? He's 25 years old. A 25-year-old man acting like a 14-year-old. Here's his age. He's 25 years old.
Of
Pitiful.
a persona built on fake confidence. When the camera shuts off, the tough guy act fades fast, and the growing list of witnesses only makes his situation heavier. The lineup of people testifying against him reads like a greatest hits reel of his worst behavior. Victims of harassment, people tied to the deepfake distribution, all stacking up one by one. Every testimony adds more weight to a case that was already crushing him. But then there's the wild card that really locks this whole thing in. Delgoon, the former Korean Navy SEAL, the guy behind one of the most viral reality check moments on the internet. The same guy Johnny immediately snitched on after months of bragging that he never rats.
How much have you personally spent thus far helping and supporting your friend?
Including
Legal fee, everything for Johnny.
legal fees? Yes.
And because of extra money you had to pay because of the inconvenience of Johnny there, over 10,000? Over 20,000?
Close to it.
Close to $20,000.
Now Delgoon gets to sit in court, look Johnny dead in the eye, and explain exactly what kind of person harasses women, disrespects civilians, and treats public spaces like a personal stage. And unlike Johnny's usual targets, this isn't someone scared of cameras, yelling, or online tantrums. This is a man trained to operate under pressure. Johnny's tweets, excuses, and loud energy mean absolutely nothing to him. The irony is brutal. Johnny built his whole identity around being untouchable, always winning, and claiming consequences never catch up. He loved bragging about Japan too, conveniently skipping the part where he was chased out and forced to leave. Then he pulled up in South Korea thinking his American passport was a cheat code. It wasn't. Within days, he was harassing locals, jumping on stages, screaming offensive remarks, and pulling one of the most reckless stunts imaginable, playing North Korean propaganda on public transportation. In a country technically still at war with North Korea, that's not edgy, that's dangerously stupid. And here's the most damning part. Johnny knew exactly what he was doing. His own streams show him discussing the laws ahead of time. He researched what was illegal, then did it anyway, live, on camera. That's not content creation, that's evidence production. And as this case keeps moving forward, one thing is painfully clear. Johnny isn't fighting the system anymore. He already lost. What we're watching now is the slow, unavoidable process of consequences catching up to someone who thought they never would. By the time Johnny stepped into that courtroom for the first time, the ending was already written. That moment should have been his chance to flip the script. Apologize, show humility, prove to the judge he understood the seriousness of what he'd done. Instead, he treated court like another live stream set. He showed up late, allegedly intoxicated, smirking, laughing, acting like the whole thing was just another joke he could talk his way through. At one point, he allegedly made a disrespectful comment toward the judge himself. Let that sink in. Not a cop, not a guard, a South Korean judge. Someone with full authority over how long Johnny stays locked inside that country and under what conditions. That single moment likely erased any remaining goodwill he had. In Korea, respect and remorse matter. Judges don't just weigh the crime, they judge the person standing in front of them. And Johnny showed them someone who didn't deserve leniency. And it didn't stop there. Every court appearance showed the same pattern. Casual outfits, careless attitude, like he was pulling up to a podcast instead of a courtroom. By the time he finally dressed appropriately, the damage was already done. Judges noticed patterns, and Johnny's patterns screamed arrogance. Behind the scenes, his money situation was collapsing just as fast as his legal one. The clout dried up, the bills stacked, and the consequences kept closing in. By this point, Johnny had already been stuck in South Korea for over a year. No leaving, no normal work, no real income, just time ticking and money draining fast. Streaming money dried up, brand deals vanished, sponsors disappeared completely, total financial blackout. Then the cracks got even louder. His friend Hank, the same guy who stood next to him through a huge chunk of this chaos, came out publicly and said Johnny owed him over $20,000. And just like that, they were done. That relationship ended the same way most of Johnny's connections do. Unpaid, burned out, and blowing up online for everyone to see. Loyalty doesn't last long when the bills come due. So now Johnny is paying legal fees with borrowed money, trying to defend himself against crimes he live-streamed in full HD. That's not strategy, that's financial self-destruction. And the Korean legal system, they're not rushing a thing. Unlike the US, there's no pressure to wrap this up fast. Every delay works against him. Each new court date becomes another chance for Johnny to say something reckless, contradict himself, or dig the hole deeper. And every single time he talks publicly, he does exactly that. Prosecutors don't need to hunt for evidence. They just clip his own words. He doesn't just provide proof, he explains it, adds commentary, and brags about it. Most defendants stay quiet. Johnny performs. That's why new charges keep stacking. Not because authorities are targeting him, but because he refuses to stop talking. He keeps digging and wondering why the hole gets deeper. Then came the documentary trailer. Watching Johnny's entire arc laid out back-to-back is brutal. From wannabe Ice Poseidon clone to international legal disaster. It's a speed-run guide on how to ruin your life.
Oh man, something wrong with that. Something wrong with him. I'm telling you, it's something wrong with that young man. I don't know. I don't think he's wrapped too tight. I don't know if they can maybe get him a standing plea or something, because he act like he's 14, 15 years old mentally. That's what something you see a high school or junior high school kid do, throwing food in the restaurant, being disrespectful. He act like he's a child. I mean, he's a 25-year-old man, and it showed that mentally, I don't think he has really developed as a person. I mean, that's sad, man. I mean, but you can't go around disrespecting someone else's culture like that. That's really dumb. That's really stupid. It ain't funny. Not. And I was watching someone else do this earlier. Now this man, I think he's a little bit older than Johnny. He sounds like he's American and Russian. This dude, he did the same dumb crap over there, and not only that, he went to jail, he went to prison. Then they kicked him out the doggone country, which they should have. I mean, why would you do something stupid like this, just for some views? Everything ain't funny. Everybody don't find humor in something like that. You can't go around disrespecting someone's culture like this nutball. Here he is.
Wondering if you can e-file if you owe taxes? This edition of Tax Tips by TurboTax will explain how you can file and pay.
He's Russian and American, and was born in Russia, raised in.
Run Judge, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is a fast facts video, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. So this is one that I had to, coming off of my flight, jet lagged, not even having the right camera set up here. I had to get out to you guys because it's so important as it finally is coming to a close in the case of Vitaly in the Philippines. This is something that many people have been asking for, and we're going to give you a little bit of an overview here, of course, on my very short but to the point PowerPoint that gets into this on the deportation of Vitaly. So Vitaly, as you may know, started out as a guy who went over to the Philippines to do some filming, to do some nuisance streaming, and he ended up finding out, as he indeed was arrested by Philippine authorities and brought on several different charges. And you can see here, this is the look he had in the beginning when he was very defiant. He was speaking back. He was kind of talking over the administrators. That's Ramula right over here on the right, who was also here holding up the hand as well in the left. And you can see he is a changed man. The look on Vitaly after 9 months in detention certainly is completely different. He looks like a changed man from the appearance. But what were the charges? As a reminder, there were 3 counts of unjust vexation. So this is a misdemeanor involving annoyance or harassment without cause. So going and bothering somebody without any justifiable reason, any reasonable justification for that. That is punishable by up to, if you get all the aggravating factors, 18 months total. Now, typically the amount would be less. So where we have here where he served 9 months in detention, that is beyond the standard punishment for unjust vexation. Now, we can make the argument that had they taken this all the way, had they pursued this, he could have gotten 18 months total. It's possible, theoretically. However, that is the absolute maximum. And once again, many jurisdictions tend not to impose the absolute maximum, particularly if you're a first-time offender. There also was theft for stealing items during the live streams, but this charge was later dismissed by the prosecutor's office due to insufficient evidence. Also, there was potential public harassment, which is a charge which can be separate, but apparently that was mostly encompassed within the vexation charges, so they decided not to bring that as a separate charge. So what do we have? Well, we have Vitaly, who was arrested on April 2nd, 2025, spent almost 9 months at detention facilities such as the Bureau of Immigration, Bicutan Detention Center. So he's been behind bars. He's been locked up for 9 months in a Philippine prison. Now, of course, this was awaiting all of this process. Once again, as we say in the trial of Vitaly and with Ramsey Khalid Ismail, the process itself is the punishment. The waiting is often the punishment. And now, he was classified as an undesirable alien. This is something that was distinguished very, very early, which means they did not want to keep him around after he served his time. So as soon as that time was done, as soon as they adjudicated everything, he was to be deported immediately. The United States refused to take him. Therefore, he's got to go back to his mother country, Mother Russia. Now, there's been a lot of speculation on whether or not Vitaly will have to go to the front lines in Ukraine. Well, hold on now. The age limit for conscription is typically 30. Vitaly's 33. So he's over the age limit. He's too old. He's too busted.
33 years old.
Now, that doesn't apply to reservists. However, reservists typically have to have some sort of prior military experience or some skills. He does not appear to have the skills or the military experience to classify as a reservist. Now, previously, if he had dodged the registration or draft notices or any other sort of legal procedure to get out of serving what he should have served in Russia, he could be fined. That is very, very possible. So there's possible of fines being levied on him, etc., when he goes back to Russia. So we're going to follow this as he hits Russia and see what happens to him when he goes there, what may happen, what penalties or other punishments may be levied on him in Russia. But this is what we have as of now. He is officially deported after 9 months. What do I think on that? What do I think on this? I think this is a fairly just outcome, given the fact he spent half of the time of what predictably would have been the maximum sentence of 18 months. So 18 months was what we're looking at the absolute maximum. He served 9. That seems to be fair, and the Philippines is happy with it. And once again, when we think about these cases, whether it's this case or any other cases for nuisance streamers, whether in Japan, Korea, or anywhere else, we look at the people of the country. If those people feel like justice has been served, then we have to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, it looks like this was sufficient for the Philippines and sufficient for him to, to have given back for what was taken in terms of the violations and the crimes he committed. So what do you guys think in the comments below?
Man, 33 years old, acting like he was another one, acting like Johnny, somebody like that bunch of high school teenagers running around, like 8th, 9th, 10th graders running around just being really disrespectful, all for the sake of content. You willing to be banned out of the country? Experience could have been probably worse over there in them jails. You don't know the culture. That's really practically stupid. Some of these people, man. There's some people they don't deserve a passport. I'm a big believer in that. They don't deserve. If you act like you ain't got no damn sense, you don't need to go over to no part of the world. And it's worse over there, because over there, the laws ain't like America, They don't give a damn you from America somewhere else. Once you're on their shores, that's it. You got to learn to respect. And I think what it is that some people get this Western idea that you can push people around and do what you want to do and put them as your hand. But I bet you one thing, they F around and found out you just don't do somebody just because it's not really to your standard where you come from. So it doesn't give them the right to do something like that, man. Be so disrespectful. And it's really embarrassing, you know. Because what if somebody really come over here for legitimate reasons, not to disrespect the culture, not to disrespect the people, and now that these idiots have made it even worse. I mean, it's a darn shame, man, that people they can't show no respect to another group of people in another part of the world. That's just really sad. But here's another one. Here's another fool. Did this in the Philippines.
This is Jack. He's an entrepreneur, and he wants to set up a professional website so his
It seems like this disrespectful IRL streamer was arrested in the Philippines, and I'm saying it seems like because it sure looks like it, but we don't have any official report yet. And yes, before we start the video, I'm traveling, as you can see, and I got a haircut because I had a whole lot of time to kill today, because you'll actually see that in my next video, or a video that's coming very soon. Anyway, the story that we're talking about in today's video, if this is real, this is crazy. How do some people never learn? But the dude we're talking about today is somewhat known as Gino, who is essentially known from being Johnny Somaly's sidekick. He had his whole claim to fame over in Japan with Johnny Somaly, who was like his accomplice, you could technically say. They did actually get arrested together in Japan, but he did end up snitching on Johnny over in Japan and was then released from jail early, or way before Johnny. And then he ended up leaving Johnny in Japan. And at this point in time, he did go back to the States for a bit, but I guess he couldn't just stop the urge from going back to Asia and harassing people on the street for content. So he ended up going back to Thailand, where this clip went viral.
I don't care what it is. I don't know. Salon. I didn't mean to. I paid money.
I'm still trying to understand how you ever get to this point as a man. Like, number one, doing this to begin with, but also live streaming yourself act this way. It's truly just a fascinating use of free will. Now, you would think that Johnny would actually hate Gino after, snitching on him in Japan. But both these guys, they don't have any morals, so it doesn't matter. So they did end up reuniting in South Korea, because I guess Gino didn't learn from the first time of hanging out with Johnny and streaming with him that it was a bad idea. Or just in general, that doing their kind of content while harassing people is a bad idea. But hey, clearly these guys are not learning anything. So again, they reunited in South Korea, and that's when they both started finding out, because he had the honor of getting knocked out together with Johnny, which is where that infamous Mario coin knockout clip is from. But after a handful of those moments, it seems like Gino had some sense knocked into him, and he realized, maybe I shouldn't stay in South Korea because I don't want to repeat the Japan situation. So, he got out of there. And right after Gino got out of there, Johnny was about to leave, and he couldn't. So in this brain-dead version of two morons who cannot act right, Gino got the last chopper out of, I guess, South Korea instead of Vietnam in this case. But just because Gino had a little bit of self-awareness does not mean that he was actually smart enough to stop streaming in this matter. Because after being in the US for just a little bit again, I guess he just yearned to go back to Asia and harass strangers for content again. And for some reason, he decided to go to the Philippines after everything that's happened with Vitaly. And not only did he go to the Philippines, he decided to go to the Philippines and commit a serious crime again after we know everything that happened with Vitaly. So basically everyone in the online community has seen how hard the Philippines backhanded Vitaly for acting out in the Philippines. So why Gino would ever go commit a serious crime, which is actually
worse than anything that Vitaly did. Because as long as Vitaly isn't charged for stealing that motorcycle, which officially he hasn't been yet, the charge that Gino is allegedly facing is infinitely worse than anything Vitaly is facing. And we know that Vitaly has now been locked up in jail for almost a year now, and you have some crazy rumors coming from jail as well. You have all sorts of rumors circulating just in the last couple of weeks that he was seriously injured in jail. Now, we have no idea if it's actually true or not, because it's hard to verify anything coming out of the Philippines because it's not as public as the US. In the US, you can pretty much look up most court cases. In the Philippines, you can't. But, okay, so as of right now, all of the information we have is from Johnny Smalley's Discord, a Twitter user by the name of Johnny So Smalley, and some Filipino news reports. So what started all this is we have Gino announcing that he got jumped in the Philippines. So here we see the pictures here. They jumped me here. He looks rough in that picture. And then suddenly we got him posting a picture of him in handcuffs saying "Free Gino." Awesome. Then, of course, everyone in the Discord's like, haha, no hopping on the plane this time, because so many of the people in this Discord, they just want to see the downfall of Johnny and Gino and any of the other streamers. Like, the whole appeal of watching these people is watching the downfall of these streamers, which is why they send these crazy donations to try to get them either arrested or for some fight to break out. But anyway, pay attention to this outfit because it becomes important later on. So we have a white collared shirt and blue jeans and a brown belt.
One skill that will determine which side of the line you end up on.
Shout out to Otazy for his video. What is wrong with these people? I mean, you know, I've gone shot video out, but I'm respectful at home. Like, when I go to the park, I go alone. If I'm going to a festival, I got the camera on myself. I don't put them on people. I don't go around harassing people just or looking at anything. I learned to stay away from public buildings where it says no camera. Stay away from schools. Stay away from different areas. Just be respectful. I mean, this way of making content, and you don't have to be rude and disrespectful. You know, I think mannerisms start at home before you go abroad. You know, and these dumbass people that leave here, just because you're American don't mean you can act like an ass over in another part of the world. Once you off the American shores, you on their land, and they can do whatever the heck they want. You luckily they're alive. Some of the stuff that they do, these people ain't playing with you. You could have caught. Then something happened to you over there. What your family and friends go? No one don't know nothing. Like you said, luckily a Philippine paper. I mean, do they use any common sense whatsoever? You know, this way of making video, there's so many ways, productive way, without being disrespectful or to another person's culture, another country. You can show the scenery, I don't know, you can show the exhibits, you can show it's so many things. Why you gotta do that? And act like a juvenile. Act like you a kid. You know? So hey, they got what they deserve. Luckily, they come out alive. God must have been with them. Because some of the places, you get disrespectful, and sometimes, luckily, they can speak English, but some places, they speak English. And some of them people speak English. In some places, they'd mess your butt up. I don't understand why people have to be like that. You know? If you ain't got no sense, you don't need to go over to it. It's just like some of these people that were these travelers that they named that they put on these people called the passport bro. They did the same. One of them did the same dumb shit. Jumped on a woman in Africa. You know, it's like, what the heck's wrong with you? You know that you come to social media, like some of the people from the same country you in ain't gonna get back. Probably know some people in that country. Tell them in their language what you're doing over there. see, you're a dumbass. And because I think is that they must don't know what we do and how we do things. Yeah, but the people who are born from some of these countries like the Korea, Philippines, and South America and parts of Africa, they understand your actions. Man, it's some dumbass people out here. They dumb. Like you gotta have some common sense. And I think that none of these people should be able to travel. They need a psychology test or something. You gotta learn to respect culture. You just don't get away with what you would get away with here at home. I mean, there was a young man, probably years ago. He went over to North Korea on Otto Warmbier. He because some propaganda, someone dare him to tear a poster off the freaking wall in North Korea. Guess what the North Korean government did? They threw him in prison. When he come back, he was a vegetable. And then his family said, "We're gonna sue North Korea." Ain't nothing you can do. I mean, you can sue them all they want. They ain't gonna pay whatever. They're not gonna take responsibility because he was in their country doing something that he shouldn't been doing. Of all places, North Korea. And you know that they surveillance. And you're a foreigner. He did something. I don't know, some poster took something out of his hotel room. They got it all on camera and everything. He ended up going to prison. And when he got back, he was in a vegetable state. They put him on the plane. He came off the plane because the president at that time, when his family went over there. These people ain't playing around. You can't have that Western white, ignorant, arrogant mentality over there that you do over here. Maybe you get away with it. No, stop there, boys. Ain't nobody. When you over in another part of someone's world, country, you gonna act a fool? Anyway, it's just, yeah. So the point of the video, and it should be discouraged. Don't do something stupid and ignorant if you're a young person. Whether you're in your 20s or your 30s, learn to respect the laws. Because once you of age, they're not going to treat you like you're a juvenile. That's why a lot of these people haven't grown up to be a full-fledged man. They act like a juvenile. And a lot of people ain't going to take your immaturity for them pranks. Anyway. Alright then, guys. Hope you enjoy. Like, subscribe with the video. But yeah, be careful when you travel, and make sure you don't go with someone that don't know how to respect the laws and travel. If you get, just right now, because right now it's hot. So be wise the way you go. Be wise because America's on a hotbed. And if people come out of America, they look at them a different way. Think about it. Take care, be blessed. Like and subscribe.